Hello everyone, welcome to Bajirao IAS Academy, the Hindu News Analysis. So today is 11th July 2024 and in today's we're going to discuss, right? So we'll try to discuss them in a comprehensive and a very detailed manner so that this discussion will be helpful for your examination, right? So this discussion will be helpful for both prelims and mains examination, right? So before actually discussing all those important articles, yesterday I've given one practice question that is with respect to the Ross Sea. The question was, the Ross Sea is the world's largest marine protected area and it is located in which of the following seas? Right. So this is also a very simple and easy question. And if you look at the UPSC 2024 question paper, so you can see a question on North Sea, right? So with how many countries North Sea has been sharing its borders. So such questions are being asked very often. So because of that reason, it is important for us to understand and identify such regions and their location across the world. So the correct answer for this question is option C, Southern Sea, right? So Southern Sea, which is surrounding Antarctica continent. So it is the sea where the Ross Sea is actually located, and Ross Sea is the world's largest marine protected area. Now, if you can see the explanation part of it, the Ross Sea is a deep bay of Southern Ocean in Antarctica, right? So, Southern Ocean within Antarctica, this Ross Sea is a deep bay. Now, in fact, it was declared as a marine protected area after a landmark international agreement between 24 countries and European Union. 24 countries along with European Union, there was an agreement between all these countries, and that has resulted in this Ross Sea being declared as the marine protected area. And in fact, so this was done in the Commission for Conservation of Antarctic Marine Living Resources. So under this particular agreement was signed, and Ross Sea was declared as the marine protected area with signature or with the international agreement between these 24 countries and European Union. And today also have another very important prelims practice question. This is with respect to the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Now remember, previously we have discussed Shanghai Cooperation Organization in our lectures very often, right? So while discussing about the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, its relevance, we have also discussed and identified members of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. In fact, India and Pakistan are also members of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization along with other member countries in the Central Asia, right? So the question is, which of the following countries are the members of Shanghai Cooperation Organization? So six countries were given here. So you have to identify how many of the given countries are members of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So this is also a very simple question. Try to answer this question in the comment section, and I'll be giving the correct answer in tomorrow's class. Now, without any further delay, let's start a discussion. So today is World Population Day. So 11th July is World Population Day, and because of that reason there were some articles with respect to increasing population and the importance of family planning, especially for a country like India, where we have already become the world's largest populous country. Because population is beneficial for the economy on the one hand, because it contributes to the demographic dividend, and demographic dividend essentially translates into workforce and economic growth, economic development. But on the other hand, when you look into the negative sides of the population growth or excess population, the income would not be distributed equitably among all the populous groups, right? So among different individuals, and in fact we have a very limited resources, so therefore excess population, it would be very difficult to distribute those resources among all the individuals. So, and it would also reduces the government's capacity to finance the social welfare programs for such a huge population. There is also a chance for uh, higher levels of poverty, higher levels of unemployment, and even government will not be able to finance healthcare, education for such a huge population because of the limited capacities on the part of the government. So all these things prevail in a country with the highest population rates, right? So we'll understand a plan for national well-being particularly with respect to a country with the highest population in the world. So how can we control population, or how can we manage the existing population? So all these things are very, very important, and they forms part of a key component of the national developmental perspectives. Now understand the context of this article very briefly. The context is that, so today is World Population Day of 2024. 11th July 2024 is the World's Population Day. So on this day, India has been reflecting on the achievements and challenges in family planning. Now family planning is a very important component of population control, right? So through family planning we can control the growth of population, right? So family planning can be done through multiple ways, right? So through enhancing awareness among the women, and contraceptives, and medical healthcare interventions, and so through different ways we can ensure the family planning and enhance awareness among the people. So therefore there are a lot of achievements and challenges with respect to family planning in India, and that has been emphasizing on health outcomes and demographic shifts that have been taking place in recent times. Now we'll look into the progress of family planning very briefly. When we talk about the progress of family planning, of what does this family planning actually means? Family planning actually means sizing of the families. Now earlier, so we used to have large families, joint families, but now we very often see nuclear families, right? Nuclear families. Now, when we talk about the nuclear families, the family size is less than four. So that is small family or nuclear family, and even parents preferring less than two number of kids. So what happening is the family size has been shrinking down, and that families are known as nuclear families, particularly because of the globalization, increasing education. So all these factors have been reducing the family size. So there has been a clear shift towards the smaller families in India that has been taking place, right? So the average fertility rates are also significantly declining, and it is now hovering around 2 children per woman, right? So this we can call it as total fertility rate. So in India, total fertility rate would be around 2. We have already achieved. This is also known as replacement levels fertility rate. Replacement level fertility rate. Why it is a replacement level fertility rate? Because two parents would be substituted by two kids, right? So because of that reason, it is known as replacement level fertility rate, and this replacement level fertility rate will, over a period of time, leads to population stability. It will over time lead to the population stability, and that is how the changes in the demographies actually takes place. Demographic shifts actually takes place. Earlier we used to have a larger families. From the larger families, the size of the families has been gradually reducing, and now we have a smaller families or nuclear families, and this nuclear families would over a period of time ensures the population stability in India. And apart from that, when we talk about the family planning, the most important component of the family planning is the increased contraceptive use. Now, in recent times, the contraceptives are being increasingly used. So when we talk about this, over 57% of the women currently who are in the reproductive age, right? So women who are above 18 years and up to 45 to 50 years, they can be considered as the reproductive woman in the reproductive age. Now, if you take all the women who are in the reproductive age, so around 57% of the women are now using the modern contraceptives. So this essentially means that the women have access to these modern contraceptives. So that is a very important component in the family planning, right? So this access to the modern contraceptives is primarily because of increasing the levels of education among women, and apart from education, awareness among women, and along with that, in medical facilities also there is a significant advancement, right? So medical facilities or medical care, there is a significant advancement, and all these factors have been making sure that women have access to the contraceptives, and therefore this has been marking a substantial increase in the contraceptive prevalence in India over a period of time, and that has been playing a very important role in the family planning, right? Family planning. And apart from that, So when we talk about the other aspects of it, such as how health will lead to the empowerment of communities, empowerment of people. So family planning is actually an integral to improving the maternal and child health outcomes also, right? So through family planning, we can improve the maternal health, because once we do the family planning of a woman, so that would improve the health of the woman over a period of time, and even it would lead to the improvement in the child health conditions, and this way we can reduce the maternal mortality rates and also the infant mortality rates that are prevalent in India. So in fact, we can say that one of its highest, the infant mortality rate and maternal mortality rate. In fact, the Sustainable Development Goals 2030 actually focuses on reducing both infant mortality rate and maternal mortality rate. So therefore, in this context, when we have further looked at family planning, an integral component of reducing the maternal mortality rate and infant mortality rate, so that would to some extent empower the woman, right? So because we are considering the health of the woman and health of the child, and it will lead to the empowerment of women over a period of time with a lot of reproductive rights and choices on their own. Now, when you are giving choices and rights to women, so that essentially translates into the empowerment of women, right? So, how there's an evolution of family planning process, family planning policies in India. Now, you can see on this image there are a number of family planning policies that were launched right from India's independence. For example, we can say that 1952, the National Family Planning Program was first a program that was launched with respect to the family planning, and from 1952 National Family Planning Program, time and again different policies were launched by the union government. For example, 1952 National Family Planning Policy was followed by 1976 first National Population Policy. So there were a number of policies. You just go through all these important policies, right? So they are very important. And apart from that, how these national family planning policies have been evolving over a period of time, right? So if you look into the India's family planning processes or family planning policies, so they actually evolved over a period of time, right? So evolved over a period of time, and they have integrated the diverse approaches into it, right? So therefore, now from a clinic based services to community engagement, and even a lot of innovative strategies were launched as part of this family planning processes, so that has made this family planning is taken to the lowest strata of the society. Now, every woman are aware about this family planning. We have primary healthcare services centers, we have ASHA workers, we have Anganwadi workers, and accredited and A&M workers also at the grassroots level, and they play a very important role in enhancing awareness among the women about the importance of the family planning. This family planning would substantially enhance the health of the mother and the child. And in this context, there were several initiatives also in this particular context with respect to the family planning. For example, initiatives like Family Planning 2020, and recent times we have also heard about this Mission Parivar Vikas that was launched by the Union government. So the Family Planning 2020 and Mission Parivar Vikas, so they essentially aim at enhancing the access of these contraceptive to the families and increasing awareness, particularly in districts which are having the higher fertility rates. Now, if you look into some districts in UP, Bihar, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, so those districts have a higher fertility rates. So therefore, through Mission Parivar Vikas and Family Planning 2020, what the government will do? Government will reach out to the women in these high fertility rates, and the government, along with the civil society organizations and NGOs, try to increase awareness among women, educate women on the use of these contraceptives, and also increase the availability of contraceptives. And there are a lot of policy milestones also. For example, introduction of reproductive, maternal, and newborn child health, so that was launched. Okay, so this essentially means reproductive, maternal, newborn child health. So that program is RMNH NCH plus A program, right? So this essentially emphasizes on maternal and child health. maternal and child health. Right. So this particular approach emphasizes on reproductive health, and that underscores India's commitment to a comprehensive family planning strategies. This particular strategy that the government has launched. However, in order to make sure that we do family planning or we achieve a significant milestones with respect to family planning and controlling population, there are a lot of challenges, right? So it is not without challenges, but there are a lot of challenges, and there are also some future directions also to meet all these challenges. For example, when we look into these challenges or barriers for the family planning, so these challenges include issues such as misconceptions that are still prevalent about the contraceptives and the use of contraceptives. And apart from that, the socio-cultural norms, they are also hindering the adoption of the contraceptives by the woman. So these factors, especially in rural areas where people do not have adequate awareness about this contraceptives, uh, you know it has become very challenging to further promote the use of contraceptives by the women in those rural areas, and the barriers are misconceptions about these contraceptives and the existing socio-cultural norms. They are hindering adoption of contraceptives. And we should not forget the development or the investments in the healthcare sector, especially healthcare infrastructure should not be neglected, because healthcare infrastructure plays a very important role in further promoting family planning and also limiting the growth of population, right? So when we talk about the healthcare infrastructure, establishing or construction of these primary healthcare centers at the grassroots level, and hospitals at the block level and district level, and we need to further enhance the medical professionals and the ANMs, Anganwadi workers, ASHA workers. So they play a very important role in providing healthcare services to the masses at the grassroots level. So therefore, we should not forget or neglect the healthcare infrastructure at different levels, whether it is grassroots level, block level, or district level. So therefore, investments in healthcare infrastructure, budgetary allocations, training for health workers are very, very important in improving the service delivery. Right, so we need to improve the service delivery for the people. So therefore, in order to improve the service delivery, we should make investments in the public healthcare sector. And after that, we should not forget about the aspect of demographic dividend. Now, India is a country with the largest number of people in the working age, and this is the time that we need to use this existing workforce in a right manner. So, therefore, we need to integrate the family planning with all these sustainable development goals. These 17 sustainable development goals need to be integrated with the family planning. So, by integration of these family planning policies with the sustainable development goals, what happens is that we can achieve these sustainable development goals by the targeted year of 2030, and at the same time we can also reach significant milestones with respect to the family planning and control of the population growth. So therefore, it would ensure, when we link it with sustainable development goals, it would ensure uh, you know or it would limit the growth of population, and it would also result in inclusive prosperity and the national progress also. Now briefly, I can tell you why family planning is important, because if we do not have any conducive family planning processes, so that would significantly enhances population, right? So now imagine a family with a size of around 8 people in one particular family, and in that family of 8 people, only two are working, right? So in that case, so whatever they are earning through working, it is inadequate to finance their healthcare, education requirements of the 8 people in the family, and this lead to, over a period of time, poverty. So they will be in the chronic cycle of poverty over a period of time. But on the other hand, imagine a family of 4 people, and within the family of 4 people, around 2 people are working. So whatever they are earning can be used for the education and healthcare of the remaining family members. So therefore, we cannot say that they will be under poverty. Now, other thing that we need to understand when it comes to financing the welfare of the people from the government side, when imagine a family of 8 and a family of 4. So it would be easier for the government to finance the welfare, healthcare, education, to look after the healthcare and education needs of a family of 4 rather than the family of 8. So therefore, increased population would not be good for the growth and development of any country. So the per capita incomes would be significantly lesser, and India will not become a developed country if population continues to grow. So we have the goal of, we have the objective or aim to become developed country by 2047. So in this particular goal, the family planning plays very important role in limiting the growth of population. So next we'll proceed on to the next very important article. So that is with respect to Chennai Vladivostok Eastern Economic Corridor. Right. So recently, yesterday we have discussed that Prime Minister Narendra Modi had a visit to Russia, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin have discussed a plethora of issues, different issues with respect to defense supplies, security, terrorism, trade and commerce, energy security, and nuclear energy. So different, things were discussed, which actually form the crux of cooperation between India and Russia. So therefore, so one of the very important project on the lines like international north-south transport corridor, India and Russia have also planned earlier this Chennai Vladivostok Eastern Economic Corridor. This Chennai Vladivostok Eastern Economic Corridor would link India, especially the eastern coast of India, with the Vladivostok, so that is the eastern part of Russia, right? So this would substantially reduces the time of shipments from India to Russia, or vice versa, and at the same time it would also reduces a significant amount of distance between these two countries, so thereby substantially giving a fillip or substantially giving boost to the bilateral trade between India and Russia, right? Now, we'll try to understand what is this Chennai Vladivostok Eastern Economic or Eastern Maritime Corridor. So, Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced the commencement of the Chennai Vladivostok Maritime Corridor during a community program in Moscow, Russia, in his recent visit to Russia. Right, so we'll try to understand about this project in a very detailed manner. So, when we talk about this Chennai Vladivostok Maritime Trade Route, so it connects Chennai. So Chennai is eastern port city of India, right? So you can see this is where Chennai is located. It is an eastern port city of India, and this eastern port city will connect with the Vladivostok in Russia. So Vladivostok is also the easternmost city or easternmost port city in Russia, right? So it connects Chennai on India's coast, India's eastern coast, with Vladivostok on Russia's eastern coast city, right? So this is also eastern port city of Russia, and therefore it would open multiple opportunities for trade and investment between both India and Russia. Now, for the growth and the development of trade and commerce between any of these two countries, any of the two countries, connectivity is very important. Connectivity plays a very important role in substantially increasing the bilateral relation between two different countries, because it will facilitate trade and commerce, and even people to people exchanges, also people to people exchanges, trade and commerce. So their interests or their trade relations would be intertwined over a period of time. So but when we talk about India and Russia, connectivity is the main challenge, right? So connectivity is the main challenge because as of now we are reaching out to Russia through a substantially longer trade route that has been passing through Arabian Sea and Red Sea, from Red Sea to Mediterranean Sea, Mediterranean Sea to Atlantic Ocean, Northern Sea, and then reaching out to Russia. So that is a substantially a longer route to reach Russia. So connectivity is one of the major hindrance, and because of that reason, so we are exploring opportunities such as international north-south transport corridor and Chennai Vladivostok maritime trade route. So these routes actually reduces the time and distance between India and Russia. So therefore, connectivity would be substantially increased through these different trade routes. Okay, so when we talk about this Vladivostok, so it is also the end point of the Trans-Siberian Railway, and it is a fourth largest in terms of total cargo turnover into this Vladivostok uh, port in Russia, right? So when we talk about the Chennai Vladivostok, this maritime trade route. So one thing that we need to understand that how this maritime trade route passes from India to Russia. So that one thing that we need to understand, right? So when we track it from Russia, so it from Russia, Vladivostok, it enters into Sea of Japan, past the Korean Peninsula, right? This is Korean Peninsula, Sea of Japan, and then it would reach to Taiwan. So this is where Taiwan is located, and from Taiwan it would reach to the Philippines, and Philippines, this is the South China Sea, and from the South China Sea it would reach to the Strait of Malacca, right? So from Strait of Malacca, so it would reach to the Bay of Bengal, and from the Bay of Bengal, and then it reaches to the Andaman Sea. From Andaman Sea, it would reach to the Chennai. So this is how. So it has been passing through the different regions or different countries while it has been going to Russia and coming from Russia, right? So this is how the different regions are being covered under Chennai Vladivostok maritime trade route. So when we talk about the total distance of Chennai Vladivostok maritime trade route, so this route covers a distance of around 5,647 nautical miles, right? So 5,647 nautical miles. But on the other hand, when you look into the conventional trade route from India's western coast into the western port of St. Petersburg in Russia, it is around 8,675 kilometers, right? So it is 8,675 kilometers. It takes a lot of time, and the cargo ships need to travel a lot of kilometers to reach to the St. Petersburg on the western side of Russia. But on the other hand, this Chennai Vladivostok maritime trade route is just 5,647 kilometers to reach to Russia. Okay, so what is the need for such a new route? Why we need to have such a new route? So why it is important? So this is primarily to improve connectivity. As I have already told you that connectivity plays a very important role in increasing trade and commerce between two different countries. But as of now, the problem is that there is lack of connectivity between India and Russia. So lack of connectivity between India and Russia has been limiting the trade and commerce between these two countries. Now, if you look into the total trade and commerce between India and Russia, it is just around 12 to 13 billion US dollars. That's it. Right. So majority of this trade and commerce also dominated by the energy supplies and also the defense supplies. Right. So therefore, it is very important that we need to substantially increase trade and commerce. And other thing that we should remember that India and Russia are aimed to further enhance their bilateral trade to $100 billion in the coming years by 2030. So in order to achieve this goal of bilateral trade of $100 billion, it is very important that these two countries have a strong connectivity links, and that is why these countries are actually part of international north-south transport corridor and this Chennai Vladivostok maritime economic trade route, right? So this is how, so it would improve the connectivity, reduce the distance between India and Russia. So at present, if you look into the connectivity, how the present connectivity between India and Russia, so the two countries are actually linked through a traditional or conventional European route. So this is the traditional conventional European route. So from Mumbai port to Arabian Sea, from Arabian Sea to Red Sea, Red Sea to Mediterranean Sea, and from Mediterranean Sea to Black Sea. So this is how the traditional route, right? So this is how it goes, or this is the other way. So this is the traditional European route which passes through Red Sea, Mediterranean Sea, and the Baltic Sea. However, this is also a longer route and it will also take a lot of time to reach Russia compared to this Chennai Vladivostok, the maritime trade route. Right. So this was operationalized. This particular trade route was operationalized in the year 2000, and this route actually spans from port in Mumbai. Right. So it actually starts from port in Mumbai to port of Saint Petersburg in Russia. Right. So this is Saint Petersburg in Russia, port of St. Petersburg in Russia. And if we wanted to take goods from India to Russia, it would take on an average 40 days to reach Russia, right? So it will take around 40 days to reach Russia, to cover a distance of 8,675 nautical miles or 16,000 kilometers. So this is actually a huge distance, and it is also taking a huge time. So when you look into this Chennai Vladivostok maritime trade route, right? So therefore we need to understand how this is really important, how it is reducing the distance, how it is reducing the number of days to travel to China, so to transport, to ship goods to Russia, not China. Okay, so this is a much more shorter route because this Chennai Vladivostok corridor is shorter alternative to the current Mumbai St. Petersburg sea route. And in fact, this particular trade route between India and Russia so would reduce the shipping distance to about 5,400 kilometers, and even the number of days would be reduced to 24 days. Okay, so transport time would be reduced to just 24 days from the earlier 40 days of the conventional trade route, and it would also reduces the total distance up to 5,400 kilometers between India and Russia. So that would substantially improves connectivity between these two countries, and in turn boost trade and commerce between these countries, and they also achieve the goal of 100 billion trade by the year 2030. So in fact, when we talk about Chennai, Chennai is considered as an ideal gateway, and it is also one of the strategic location in the Bay of Bengal region. And in fact, this particular port in Chennai can also be used to connect with other countries in the Southeast Asia, especially those countries are very well known for the manufacturing capabilities. And in fact, if India wanted to achieve supply chain resilience, so they need to focus on Chennai linking with the other countries in the Southeast Asia, such as Thailand, Vietnam, and Indonesia, right? So Chennai plays a very important role in ensuring supply chain resilience by diversifying the sources of supply chain to India. And apart from that, while this trade route passes through different countries, so this will also substantially increases India's connectivity with those different countries. So when we talk about key commodities that we have been importing from Russia and other countries which are in this particular Chennai and Vladivostok trade route, crude oil, coal, LPG, and various other goods are expected to benefit from the faster transportation. Why faster transportation? Because it has been substantially reducing the time taken, and at the same time the distance from India to Russia. So this will also promote trade and commerce between these two countries, because the trade route promises to enhance trade not only between India and Russia, but it will also promote trade, with other countries which are within this particular trade route, such as Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, so which actually forms part of this Chennai Vladivostok maritime trade route. Okay, so there are actually immense opportunities for both India and Russia. So if they develop, if they use, and if they start exploiting the potential of this particular trade route, because the port of Vladivostok, especially in Russia, provides access to a resource-rich Far East region. Now, in Russia, this Far East region is very well known for rich energy resources, right? So, rich energy resources, the Far East region in China, and because of that reason, when India has access to this Vladivostok, a city which connects the Far East, which is endowed with rich energy resources. So that would offer India immense opportunities, such as sectors like energy, mining, and technology cooperation between India and Russia. So therefore, it is in the benefit of India, and it should be a feasible project and a viable project for India to immediately, start this project, and so that we can be benefited from the positive aspects of this particular maritime corridor. And in fact, when we talk about the economic impact of Chennai and Vladivostok maritime corridor, so no doubt that this particular corridor will significantly enhances Chennai's prominence as the center of major economic activity, because it would become a major trade route. It would be part of the major trade route, especially in the context in which Indo-Pacific has been gaining a lot of prominence, and in recent times, India has also focused on substantially developing the capabilities, the port capabilities, and further increasing the shipping, especially due to the Indo-Pacific and its growing prominence. So therefore, this corridor will boost Chennai's economic prominence by increasing cargo traffic with Southeast Asian nations, not just China, but with other nations, which forms part of this particular maritime corridor between India and Russia. And in fact, so Chennai in future can become a robust economic hub similar to Mumbai, right? So how Mumbai has become, an economic hub and an economic or financial capital of India, and Chennai also has a lot of potential to become such an economic hub. So if we, visualize, or if we realize this particular economic corridor between Chennai and Russia, India and Russia. So Russia also aims to double its current trade volume with India through this Vladivostok port, because this would substantially reduces the time taken and the distance between these two countries, and that's where both countries will explore the opportunities, will explore the potential to further enhance trade and commerce between these two countries. So therefore, we can say that it would be mutually beneficial for these two like-minded countries to further step up their engagement in the future. And connectivity is very, very important, and India will have more benefits than China. So if India, you know quickly start encashing this particular project. So next important article is about the fast fashion and how fast fashion actually impacts the environment, right? So we will understand about this, what exactly is this fast fashion and how this fast fashion has impact, different, multi-diverse impacts on the environment. Now, when we talk about the fashion, so it is with respect to the textiles, right? So textile design, textile manufacturing also releases a lot of waste into the environment, and in fact the textile waste actually poses a lot of global challenges, right? So with respect to climate change, pollution, emissions into the environment, so textile waste has been posing a lot of challenges. So only 12% of the total textiles that are already used are recycled worldwide. So therefore, nearly 1% of the discarded clothes are recycled. So those clothes are recycled into different other items such as new garments and low value items like insulation, mattresses, stuffing. So what about the other garments which are not actually recycled, and so those garments are actually the source of emissions and they're polluting the water resources. So all these things are because of the fast fashion. Now fast fashion so essentially means that with changing trends, so new styles of cloth would be produced on a much larger scale, right? So what is the dark side of this fast fashion, right? We'll understand the impact. So with respect to fast fashion, in recent times textiles or clothes become more and more affordable, and with changing times new fashions are coming, new designs are coming, and people preferring those new designs. So since they are cheaper in cost and new designs are coming, the consumers are increasingly purchasing these textiles, especially through the online platforms or e-commerce sites. So despite a lot of affordability of these textiles, fast fashion has a significant environmental and social repercussions. So now what kind of an environmental and social repercussions the fast fashion actually has, so we'll understand that, right? So because the fast fashion sector contributes to around 2 to 8% of the global carbon emissions, right? So it would contribute to around 2 to 8% of the global carbon emissions and 9% of the annual microfiber pollution. We all knew that when it releases carbon into the atmosphere, carbon absorbs a lot of heat and increases the temperatures, and this is known as global warming, and global warming in turn leads to the climate change. And in a way textile sector or fast fashion sector also contributing to the greenhouse gases and climate change, whether directly or indirectly. And in fact it is also a source of annual microfiber pollution. So this annual microfiber pollution essentially contaminating the of oceans, right? So polluting the ocean waters, and it also impacting the species which are living in these marine ecosystems, right? So there are things like bioaccumulation, bioaccumulation, biomagnification. I hope you knew about these two concepts, biomagnification and bioaccumulation. So, with bioaccumulation and biomagnification, what has been happening is that these pollutants are building over a period of time in these species from one tropic level to the another tropic level. So that also leads to the death of these species. A large scale mortality of these species has been taking place, and that has also reducing the biodiversity of these different ecosystems, and that also comes with a significant health impact for the human beings as well. And this is according to the report published by the United Nations Environment Program, right? So according to the Environment Program, so the fast fashion has been the major contributor of global carbon emissions, and also it is the major source of the microfiber pollution. And apart from that, so when you are manufacturing these textiles, you are also using a lot of resources. For example, water is a very important and a very crucial resource, but this textile industries uses a lot of water while manufacturing these different clothes. So according to an estimate, the textiles or fast fashion sector actually consumes approximately 215 trillion liters of water approximately annually. Right? So this is actually a huge amount of water which is being consumed by the textile sector, and very often these industries are not recycling the water that they have used. So therefore, they are extracting a lot of underground water for this fast textiles, and that will lead to the significant depletion of underground resources. Right? So this 215 trillion liters of water is equivalent to 86 million Olympic-sized swimming pools. So you can imagine the quantum of water which is being extracted by these different textile industries, and how it will lead to the depletion of natural water resources. However, there are also a lot of social issues with respect to this textile sector. What kind of a social issues that are prevalent? Now workers are working in a precarious conditions, right? So working conditions are poor, workers are also not paid higher salaries or higher wages, right? So but on the other hand, the shareholders or the managers of the company are earning a lot of profits, but on the other hand, the profits are not actually transferred to the workers, and still they are working in a precarious working conditions with lower wages. And in fact, the fast fashion sector has been a major contributor of the greenhouse gases, as we have already understood, right? So because every phase of this fast fashion life cycle, from a resource stage, from resource extraction and manufacturing, transportation and waste management. So all these stages releases a significant and substantial portion of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, and in turn leading to global warming and climate change. So therefore, it is very important that we need to make this fast fashion sector climate friendly. We need to reduce the emissions which are being generated from this fast fashion sector. So therefore, it is very important to achieve the goal of net zero over a period of time. We need to focus on this textile sector also. And after that, the industry is also heavily relies on the fossil fuel derived synthetic fibers such as polyester, nylon. So these are fossil fuel derived these synthetic fibers, and textile sector is very often derived on these synthetic fibers, right? So therefore, directly or indirectly, the textile industry also encouraging the fossil fuel extraction and usage. And we all knew that when we burn fossil fuels, when we use fossil fuels, so it would further contribute to the release of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, and also contributing to the climate change over a period of time. So therefore, it has been intensifying climate crisis through emissions. And when we talk about this polyester and nylon, so with these two synthetic fibers, the textile industries are very often making non-biodegradable plastic elements, right? Non-degradable plastic items, and they have been over a period of time contributing to the soil pollution, water pollution, and marine water pollution, and bioaccumulation and biomagnification has been taking place. So the other major thing with respect to the polyester and nylon, so since they are non-biodegradable and they are also resulting in plastic pollution, so microplastics. are a very important concern, especially in the marine ocean ecosystems. So these synthetic fibers, they actually shed microfibers when washed, and even they comprising 35% of the total microplastic pollution. So these microplastics comes from the synthetic fibers constituting alone 35% of the total microplastics. So therefore, microplastics pollution in oceans perpetuating the environmental degradation, and it will also lead to the degradation of the biodiversity over a period of time. So we will understand what exactly is this fast fashion. Now, a fast fashion essentially means that a rapid production, so or a substantial increase in the production of textiles and the distribution of clothing as quickly as possible to reflect the current trends. And one thing that we need to understand, very often the textiles or the items produced as part of the fast fashion are very affordable, so that consumers can discard their old clothes and they can be able to purchase these new clothes, and that is where it releases a lot of emissions and also resulting in a lot of pollution. And in fact, recent technological advancements and reduced production costs because of technology and mechanization and efficient supply chains throughout the world in early 1990s have substantially shortened the fashion cycles. Now, every day a new fashion comes and people just changing their old fashions and shifting towards new fashions. And what about the old clothes? So those old clothes are also substantially resulting in a lot of pollution, and when they are producing the new clothes to meet the increasing demand because of the changing trends, that also resulting in emission of a lot of pollutants into the environment. What are the measures that India has already taken to address this particular pollution? So we have a very important legislation, so that is Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974. So this particular legislation regulates discharge of pollutants into water bodies. For example, these textile industries, when they are using a lot of water for processing the textiles, so they are just releasing this, used water into the water bodies without recycling. So therefore, this particular legislation would regulate the discharge of pollutants into the water bodies, and it would also establishes penalties for non-compliance with the orders of this Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act regulations. And after that, India has also launched Sustainable Textiles of India initiative. So this Sustainable Textiles of India initiative aims to promote sustainable production and consumption of textiles across India. Right. So there are significant initiatives, across India. Right. So about this sustainable textile or sustainable fashion. Right. So for that effect, sustainable fashion policy was launched in 2020 by the Ministry of Textiles, and in fact Ministry of Textiles has also launched this national handloom in the National Handloom Day, launched handloom for Atmanirbhar Bharat, or handloom for the self-reliant India. So that is essentially to promote sustainable fashion and textiles, and also to support local artisans and reduce the environmental footprint of this fashion industry. And with respect to the textile industry, there is also an environmental, the extended producer responsibility. This is also known as EPR. This extended producer responsibility was also created for the plastic pollution and e-waste management. So therefore, extended producer responsibility actually endow the producers of these textiles with such responsibility for collecting of old clothes and recycling them in a sustainable manner, so that it would not release a significant amount of pollutants and emissions into the atmosphere. And in fact, India also banned the single-use plastic in the year 2019, right? So in the year 2019, government announced the ban on single-use plastics. And apart from that, there are other initiatives also with respect to reducing the environmental footprint of the textile industry, such as Clean Ganga Fund, Green Building Norms, National Action Plan on Climate Change, which comprising of 8 missions under it, textile waste management, and Swachhata Sardi Fellowship and Green Wardrobe initiatives. So all these initiatives are part of making the textile industry or the fast fashion sector more and more, uh, you know, uh, leaned towards the reducing emissions and reducing the harmful pollutants into the environment and use resources in a sustainable and efficient manner, right? So that's all in this lecture, and thank you so much. So if you like our lecture, please subscribe our YouTube channel and also hit the like button. Thank you.